We're going to review a couple things, and we're going to tackle the tank turret or the vehicle type turret. These are going to come in a million different shapes and varieties, so don't copy mine. I'm going to make this one up as I go along. But we're going to cover a little bit of box modeling, some more beveling. I'm going to lathe the gun, just a kind of an overall review of a lot of the things we've talked about. We're also going to make this turret all one piece, so when we're done, we'll have a solid piece object. I'm going to start with the box, and in my top viewport, I'm going to drag this out. That's good. Right click here, edged faces, put in some edges. I think we'll go with something like that this time. Okay. And I just thought of something. I'm going to go with that. Alright. And we're going to convert this to an editable poly. And we're going to go to vertices. And we're going to start pulling on some of this stuff. So we'll just kind of balloon some pieces out here. And we'll just start converting this guy. Hit G and turn off the grid. Oops, this side is what I want. There we go. Okay. There we go. Kind of got the basic layout there that I'm after. This is going to be the front right here. Okay, I'm going to go to edges. I'm going to grab these edges right through here. I'm hitting Alt so that I can deselect the edges on either side. You'll see that I've got those edges there. If you remember, I also could have hit one edge. Which edge did I get? And hit loop, and that would have looped it all the way around, that edge loop. And in this case, I'm going to hit chamfer. I'm going to chamfer an edge in there. There we go. And I'm going to select that edge on both sides. Yeah, here I'll just select the whole thing, holding down Alt and left dragging again. I'm deselecting so that I've got that middle piece all the way around. And I think what I'm going to do is pull that out a little bit more. There we go. Okay. All right. I'm going to go to my edges again. I'm going to grab these edges right across the top. I think right through there. There we go. I also could hit, oops, not loop, ring, and that would select all the way through, which I don't want all the way through. I'm going to go to my front viewport, and holding down Alt, I'm going to deselect some of those. Go back to perspective. P is perspective if you're following along. I think that's okay, except I don't want that one, and I don't want this one. There we go. Holding down Alt to deselect again. Going to go to connect. Go. And I'm going to go to my polygons now, select these all the way across, and I'm going to go to bevel, local normal, there we go. Just a hint, if you bevel the edges of your objects, especially where they're in low poly areas, you'll get a little highlight that will look a little bit better across there. Alright, we're going to hop over here to, trying to think how I want this to be built. I'm going to grab this edge, on that one. And that one. Coming up here with the design that I want. There we go. I'm going to hit OK. You'll see that it's still at 2. Actually, back up a little bit. I'm going to go to here and I'm going to slide these. Well, I can pinch them together, I guess, is what I'll do. There we go. We'll bevel these. Straight up. I'm going to have them come right up to the edge of that bevel there. That looks good. Okay. And I'm going to target weld the front of these together. There we go. So we end up with a little ridged piece that goes through there. This ridged piece that I just made, if you remember, we need to get rid of these polygons here. We'll have to build our own polygons in there. I also have some polygons around the inside here. You can see them right there. And we're going to line these guys up. This one holding down Control to select more than one object. I'm going to move those in a little bit. Down a little bit. There we go. They're all set up. And we're going to go to Polygon, Create. There we go. Got little polygons all welded in there nice now. Okay. And I'm going to go back to the back here. Going to rotate this guy around. And in this case, I'm going to grab this one, and this one, that one, that one, and that one. Forgot which one I was grabbing all of a sudden. There we go. Okay. Okay. So as I make this, you can see that this is kind of how we would make most objects. And this is one reason we do a vehicle, is because the vehicles are just easier to do in this way. I'm going to do by polygon on this one. Because we get a lot of easy type surfaces to work with. Flat surfaces. I think I'm going to bevel out this side piece here and around the other side. going to put like a band piece across this section over here. So what I'm looking at is just how far those pieces are coming out there. There we go. Okay. A little bit higher. Okay. And we're going to need a little bit of a operation on this guy to get him to work. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull these pieces. I'm selecting all the way through the object. I'm going to pull these pieces over and get them in a position where I can connect them all together. And go back to perspective, which is the P button. There we go. That'll work. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete these polygons right here. I'm going to delete that polygon right there and open up these sections so that they can all be seamed together. After that little interior polygon right there. Okay. There we go. Looks good. Go back to my left view. Wireframe is what I want. I want to zoom right into this section here. Go to vertices. And we're going to grab that one, that one, that one, and that one. And we're going to move these guys over and line them up nice and straight. See that line right there is what I'm straightening out, just to get these all seamed together. You can see how those are going to fit together now to make this little beam piece. Okay, and there we are. Right there is where we're at. So we'll create those polygons. That all seamed up. Remember, I'm only going to do one side now at this point, and then I will attach them later. I'm going to do the same thing over here with this group. About right. This guy can come back a little ways to there. I think that's about right. Yeah, that looks okay. Here, we'll go to create. Okay, that guy's all sealed in there. Got kind of a weird seal going on there. I'm not really happy with that. Don't like that seal I just made there. That guy can stay. I think what's going to need to happen here, just for sake of time, I'm going to weld these two together. There we go. I think I'm just going to weld all those together, actually. I think that'll work better. Kind of looking around here to try and find a good seam. This guy can stay. Oh, here, I guess I'll just weld all that together with a piece. That'll work. There we go. So that's not bad. Okay. And I'm going to put symmetry on this. And we should have the other way. There we go. Okay. And I'm going to flatten this back down again so that I can just work on it as a whole piece. Now, I'm going to do a couple more quick pieces on this. What was this left? There we go. I'm going to drag out a cylinder here in the front. Make the radius bigger. Okay. This is going to be the piece that the turret rotates on. Sink it kind of down in there. Get it positioned right. There we go. Okay, and I only need half of that. There is a shortcut here. If you want to put the slice on, it will kind of piece together this turret in a half section. See that? It's kind of like a half of one. And I don't need so many segments, so I'm going to get rid of a lot of the segments. There we go. And I think that'll work for me. I'm going to isolate this piece real quick so that I can work on it, make it an editable poly. And we're going to get rid of these polygons down here. I don't need those. I'm not going to need these on the caps because I'm going to make my own in a second. So I've got this curved piece now. And I am going to extrude these pieces here. Just going to bevel them out using local normal. Just a little bit, just for some interest. There we go. So that's the piece that I've got set up now. Turn that off, and we're back where we started. Okay, I'm going to rotate this piece into position. There we go. I just remembered one thing though. I'm going to go back and isolate this guy. I need to delete these little pieces I just made, right there. Okay, and what I've got left is this hollow piece. Okay, now zoom out a little bit. I'm going to go back to my tank. I'm going to select my tank, go to polygon. I'm going to grab these two big polygons here in the front. I'm going to delete those. And it looks as though this piece is a little big. We'll go back to this piece here. Scale that down just a tad so so it'll fit in there nice and straight. There we go. Want it to fit right in there. Okay, and then I'm going to select the tank and I'm going to attach this piece to it. That's going to allow me to move or to create polygons again and seam this piece all together. Go to create, and then we'll just seam this completely together. Again, I only need to do one side. Just went up the side of that piece there. Seam this together all nice and solid. So again, you don't have to go to the effort of seaming all these pieces together, but if you really want it to go into a game and work well, at least most game engines, you're going to need to do some sort of process like this. And we can certainly talk about the different needs of different game engines, but they all need something similar to this at least. Oops, missed one there. Let's go here, here, and here. Trying to avoid those long, skinny polygons wherever possible. Although I didn't avoid too many in there. And we'll get one more in here, even though we probably won't need this one. Okay, and we've created that piece right there, which is all nicely seamed together. I believe it is. Let's see. Should double check that. Turn that off. Yeah, it looks nice and straight down there. Okay, I'm going to apply symmetry again to this and just save myself some problems and just put symmetry on it and collapse it all back down again. So again, it's all nice and even on both sides. At this point, I'm going to do the gun, and then we'll be done with this. So I'm going to zoom out here. I'm going to make the gun as a lathe, which we've talked about before. I'm going to do it over here in this viewport. Maximize that. Move this guy over. Zoom in a little bit. There we go. And I'm going to make a line. I'm going to make the line straight across. I'm holding down Shift to make sure the line stays straight. I think something like this will look pretty good. Yeah, I think that'll work. Okay. There's my gun. I didn't do this side, so there's no line here because I'm going to connect it to that piece there, right there. And we go to Modify, Lathe. We've got to get the right axis. That's the right axis. We need to do minimum, maximum, min-max center, and those aren't going to help me much right now, so we'll go drop this down to axis, and we'll pull the axis down a little bit on this. There we go. And going back down to my line, I don't like show end result. I don't like these pieces right here. They're too skinny. So I'm going to kind of bump them up a little bit, and I think this area right here is a little too fat. I think that probably looks a little bit better. Yeah. Alright. Under lathe, we have to go to segments. We've got to simplify this down a little bit. So we're looking to see what's round enough. I think 8 segments will work for what we're doing. And that looks good. zoom back out here, put this back to left real quick, and we'll hop back over to this view. I think the whole thing is probably a bit too small. There we go. I think that's probably about right. We're just going to position this guy right there into that gun turret. At this point, I'm going to need to move the pivot, which we've talked about a little bit. And there is another tutorial on moving the pivot. We haven't talked about it in detail yet, but there's a tutorial this week on moving the pivot. And I'm going to move this guy up a little bit. There we go. That looks good. Just going to maneuver this guy into place a little bit better. That's probably plenty good enough. Actually, after looking at that, I just thought of a better way to do this piece right here. I'm going to move this guy out a little bit more. Click on the tank. I'm going to attach this piece. And now I'm going to get in here to, I want those polygons right right there. I'm going to bevel those out, and then what I'm going to do is kind of flatten all this. Wait a second, I may not have a big enough piece. I'm stretching out these polygons to make them slightly bigger. There we go. That'll work. And what I've got now is a little kind of plate that I can set this gun into at this point. Now, because these are all attached at this point, I have to grab the polygons to move them. A little bit more. There we go. A little bit of change over here in this guy so that it's lined up straight with the gun. There we go. Oops. Line those guys up straight with the gun. I'm trying to fit that gun right into that piece there, and I'm needing to do a little bit of cosmetic surgery here to make it happen. That's good. That looks like that's going to fit. My gun is a little off target. If I hit element, it's going to select the whole gun because I need to scoot my gun over a little bit. A little bit more. See, that line right there isn't lined up. Now it is. Element selects the pieces that were separate pieces at one point. Makes life kind of easy that way. Alright, and now all we need to do is hit create, and we just need to seam this guy up a little bit. You can see why the low poly version is a lot more helpful than anything too high poly, because all of this seaming would be difficult with a lot of polygons, and you wouldn't really need them for what we're doing. Okay, and there's our tank turret. Our tank turret's a little bent right now. Grab that guy. Now this is all going to be grab all of that. Just rotate that guy a little bit. And then we're going to have to reposition him. See how it's stretching a little bit down here. Just going to put that right back into place. I'm going to go to the left viewport just to straighten this out a little bit more. There we are. Okay, that's pretty good. Didn't realize that gun was so big. I don't like it that big. There we go. Okay, so that's my tank. Switch the perspective mode here. Let's take a look at it. I kind of like that as my tank turret. So we just box modeled this pretty quickly, and you can see the process goes pretty smooth as you move through. So give that a try. If you haven't done the turret already, or you've got a similar type object, give it a try and just play with the parts that we've already covered, and you can come up with something pretty neat, probably. I'm going to go ahead and save this scene. Leave this up for you, and you can view this scene if you want, if it helps you any.